Thank you for the invitation, President Ivanov and my dear friend Mark. My story linked to Macedonia is rather old because I was professor at the University of Pristina for 5 years during former Yugoslavia, when Tito was alive also. And I've been also back to Macedonia after I left my duty as a president, and I was teaching at the University of Tetova after this university was a state university. It was after 2006, I believe. And there is another event. I became a member, external member of Academy of Science of Macedonia some years ago. So I'm quite linked to Macedonia, like a teacher, professor, but also like a scientist. And during my duty as a president, also my links have been quite political links. I have cooperated quite well with President Gligorov and later with President Trajkovski. But we have had good communications with President Ivanov, Gruevski also, and what I say is there is a time to increase not only the cooperation in different fields, but also in cultural field between different communities for prosperity, peace, and development. Let's go back to the theme of this meeting. And in my view, this theme of sustainable development and cultural diplomacy is quite important, let's say, pillar for cooperation between different countries and populations. And these two components, sustainable development and cultural diplomacy, intersect in different ways as both focus on fostering global cooperation, mutual understanding, and long-term well-being. Regarding the sustainable development, well, the agenda is till 2030, and the ideas have been proclaimed in 2015. I've been one of the founders of the other agenda of Millennium Goals. And this agenda was quite a positive one. And I believe also the second agenda with 17 goals will be quite a successful one. But three main pillars of this kind of agenda for me are economic sustainability, social sustainability, and environmental sustainability, with all these elements. And on the other side, we have cultural diplomacy with its elements, which are quite important for realizing these three main pillars. And if you let me mention only some ideas about this kind of links between cultural diplomacy and sustainable development. For me, cultural diplomacy plays an important role in advancing this sustainable development by building trust and cooperation. It fosters international partnership essential for tackling global challenges like climate change and poverty. Second, it's encouraging sustainable tourism, promoting cultural tourism that respect local traditions and ecosystems, and I believe we have to work quite well between two countries and between two communities regarding tourism. I'm speaking about Macedonia, for North Macedonia and Albania. And another element is empowering local communities by strengthening cultural heritage, which support also economic opportunities. And other element is also promoting peace and stability, reducing conflicts by fostering cross-cultural understanding. On the other side, this is, for me, the elements of culture diplomacy. On the other side, sustainable development plays an important role in boosting culture diplomacy by fostering mutual understanding, cooperation, and shared values among nations, preserving cultural heritage, sustainable development, and encouraging this protection of historical sites, traditions, and knowledge, ensuring that cultural diplomacy is rooting in authentic inequality problems and well-preserved identities. Another element is promoting social inclusion, facilitating global cooperation, encouraging creative industries that are helping this kind of cooperation linked to culture diplomacy. And the last one is cooperating with different institutions like UNESCO or other organizations, including NGO, as it is this organization here in Skopje. For realizing this kind of link between these two pillars, sustainable development and culture diplomacy, I think we must support and develop further process of globalization. We must give also our contribution in strengthening the global structures and institutions. For that, we have to work in different aspects. And I'm sorry that one of the events which for me was rather strange was when President Trump has decided to put United States out from the Health Organization, which is an international organization. And for me, it's a wrong step, because what we need now is to strengthen all these institutions, including United Nations, but also agencies which are under the United Nations and all the international organizations who are serving the prosperity and peace. And regarding the North Macedonia and Albania, well, we have to strengthen our work for integration to European Union, which is quite important aim for both countries. On the other side, both countries are members of NATO, and which is a positive step, but we have also to realize the second one, which is the EU integration of Albania and Macedonia. At the end, maybe I'd like to mention some other elements. We have treated this problem in the Club of Madrid, which is a club of former presidents, and some of these problems have been treated also in Nairobi by the Club of Madrid and the Office of United Nations there. For me, these are the intersection of environmental and economic concerns. So we have to work for growing the economy, but on the other side, we have to think on the environment, to react to any action which is against this climate change. And for me, any kind of activity has to link to this kind of intersection between environmental and economic concerns. The other element is conflict over natural resources and leadership in climate change, as I mentioned. Economic growth also is strategies linked to this economic growth are important for Central and Eastern Europe, including Albania and North Macedonia. And another element is the evolution of multilateralism in response to global challenges. And we have to understand that in this kind of global work, these countries, small countries like Albania or North Macedonia, they have to work together to resist to the process of homogenization regarding the culture, language, and other historical legacies. The role of international order also is important in balancing cooperation and competition in addressing different crises, from war and peace to long-term issues, like it is this kind of activity, to find the loss of biodiversity, and also to fight for this climate change. For me, the transition from the 20th century legacy to a new old order in the 21st century is quite important. We have to understand that we are in front of a new evolution, particularly linked to a new technology, where part of them is artificial intelligence, and we have to work with this kind of new technology, which is linked to any aspects of our life, but also to leadership. And for me, well, there's a problem in this kind of new order, with this kind of strong technology. We need another ethic. We need new laws linked to this kind of new technology, particularly linked to artificial intelligence, and because we have to react. This artificial intelligence and other elements of this technology are quite important for our development. But on the other side, there is a risk if we don't pay attention to these new technologies, and we have to prepare a new legislation, a new ethic to fight any kind of risk linked to this kind of new ethical problems. Another element, and maybe we have to finish here, it's reconciling economic development with ecological security and the rights of future generations. So anything that is done today is linked to the future generation, and any contribution for this link between these two problems is not only our duty, but it's also the duty of young generations, and I believe that the future will be much more peaceful and with much more prosperity. Thank you.